If you are thinking about installing Ubuntu on an Acer 533, ES1 533 Inspire, the Acer Inspire, those little itty-bitty notebooks, do not do it. Try and use Windows with it if possible, because what you're going to get is a hell of a headache and an operating system that doesn't fully function. But if you really want to do it, you can do it. Step 1, you go into the BIOS, you enable the F12 boot menu, and then disable secure boot, make sure those settings are saved, and you exit from there. Step 2 is to get your installer done. You plug in your installer, and you have to flash it using Rufus on Windows. Yeah, try that one on for size. For some reason, when I was doing the manual DD command, it didn't work. It just didn't create the right thing, and you have to do it UEFI and GPT using Rufus on a Windows computer. I had to use my virtual machine for that one. But once you have your installer, you plug it in, you spam F12 as you're booting up the computer, and then you boot into live mode, where you do all kinds of other fuckery. So here is the page I used to finally install Ubuntu. You see, this is 3 years and 8 months ago, and right now is August of 2020 as I'm making this video. And viewed 43,000 times. A lot of people have been trying to do this or exploring this. Very few people have succeeded. So we go down. Once we boot live into Ubuntu, we have to run the installation, and we do sudo ubiquitydb, and this runs it without the bootloader. So what happens after you wait for it to boot and load, and you're essentially wiping off Windows. So once you do this step, there is no going back. You are stuck with the shitty half-assed version of Ubuntu you will end up with after doing this install. Unless you have a way of reinstalling Windows, which that's not very much fun. So anyhow, what we did is sudo ubiquitydb, run it without the bootloader. After that finishes and you wipe your whole drive and install it and it's still booted up live, you do not reboot, because if you reboot, it's broken. You're not going to reboot properly. I went into grub and stuff, and it was not good. It was not pretty. But you hit continue testing after the installation is over. Then you mount your new file system. You follow this code, and it all worked out properly. And sudo mod probe. Then you get your grub going again. And about this step, the first time I tried this, it just didn't work. It just broke. So then I had to reinstall. And then I went over here, update grub didn't work, so I had to reinstall. It took me 3 installs to do this. And then finally, eventually this works. But if this works for you on the first try, good for you. And essentially what you're doing with this code, it's not code, it's just terminal commands, bash commands. And you're just rewriting, you are renaming the grub64 EFI to boot64 EFI, and you are tricking the machine into thinking it's booting Windows. Yeah, you literally have to hack this thing to get it going. And then reboot the system. This is the guide I followed. This finally worked. And there's like 2 other answers here. Not many people have really done this. And I'm going to say, it's super not worth it. Not worth it at all. Because what happened after, when I rebooted the system and I tried to install all the updates, it installed most of them. It kept going, it was working, it was like, oh yeah, cool, let's make this happen. It's finally happening. And then it crashed. Completely froze halfway through the install. Do you know what file it was dealing with? Secure boot. Whatever Acer has going on with that computer, it does not want anything else but Windows running on it. So yeah, and by the way, Ubuntu 18.04, that's what I did this with. no newer versions, because secure boot breaks the entire thing. So when you get this successfully done, you're going to have a computer with Ubuntu 18 on it that you cannot update. It's a complete load of shit. But if you do want to do that, we found a way. It happened. Thanks for watching.